This is what a Facebook executive had to say about Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, Oculus, WhatsApp, they all need to be separate companies. It's too much power when they're all one together. It needs to be broken up the way the telecom companies were broken up and the oil companies were broken up. But better than that, because those guys just came back together pretty soon after that, and I hope we've learned from that. But that's really the one thing, as you said, I would break it up and I would remove Zuck as the.
Okay, what do we think about that? What do we think about they need to be broken up? This needs to be broken up. I hear these things and I hate these companies, but I don't know who I'm comfortable giving the power to break them up to.
I completely agree. I got real mixed feelings about this. Look, I think that if we're going to rely on our government to start getting involved in tech companies, whether it's breaking them up or whether it's tech censorship, but that leans a certain direction, certainly more of conservatives, that really makes me nervous as well. And I don't think I would much rather rely on the marketplace to do it. And I actually personally feel differently about Mark Zuckerberg than some of these other executives. I think that in a lot of ways, his heart's in the right place. I think he's got a tremendous amount of power. And yes, we are relying on him to do what's right. And that's asking a lot. But I don't trust either political party to start cracking down on Mark Zuckerberg and what he's built. I think that that's a real slippery slope that's going to end up in a lot worse place than if we just use the market to try to crack down on it together privately to go after these companies and what we can do as a whole.
See, I don't disagree with you at all there, Steve. It makes me uncomfortable too. But I will be honest, just where I am, I wake up in the morning and I want the government teeny tiny, complete libertarian type. And then I see the damage that tech and media and education and things like that have joined together to do to this country. And by the time I go to bed, I want the National Guard storming the Facebook headquarters. There has to be something in between, right? We can't deny the damage that's being done by these huge organizations who, frankly, don't like America.
Yeah, I look at something like what happened with Twitter when the Hunter Biden story in the New York Post was published, and their first instinct was to make it so you cannot click on that link from Twitter, and they would actually ban people who posted that link. It was outrageous, and it was actually really good to see a lot of forces in the media, including from the left, banded together to say this is wrong. And they forced Twitter to reverse that decision. And not only that, they forced them actually to change their rules for the future. Now, Twitter is still censoring conservatives a lot more than they are the left. I think that's absolutely the case. But that is the kind of a win that we need. And that's the kind of method that I would prefer to see than if whether it's the Ted Cruz's of the world or the Josh Hawleys of the world, or even the Bernie Sanders of the world starts getting involved and trying to tell Twitter what they should do. I'd much rather leave it to us to tell Twitter what they should be doing.
All right, let's talk about the First Amendment to wrap this up here. Washington Post, they tell a big lie about what Donald Trump said on a phone call with Georgia's Secretary of State election people. They now post a retraction. Well, Joe Biden's president. This retraction does no good about anything at all, and we already lost the Georgia Senate. Why shouldn't the Washington Post be held majorly liable for telling an outright lie and printing it as news?
Well, I think that it depends on what we mean by liable. Look, I think that the Washington Post, and I wrote about this in Fourth Watch, should be held responsible for getting the story wrong. It should be called out. And frankly, the ramifications should be the further corrosion of trust that's in the media, which frankly, is already happening and has been happening for the last 4 years during the Trump era, and honestly, even going back decades, because these sorts of stories always getting wrong in one direction has proven that the media that claims to be objective is absolutely not so. But what is the liability there? I support the freedom of speech in the sense of whether it's the press to get stories wrong and then continue and try to get it better the next time or get it wrong again. And slowly, that sort of erosion from the Washington Post will have the ramifications of whether it's losing money, losing power, losing influence, and losing readership, because people are going to no longer trust them. People that are independent, not on any political side, look at a story like that and say, I can't trust anything that our organization says. And that's the kind of penalty I'd like to see across the board.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me. Thanks.